set is everybody? Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar today. We're here in person all together. And I hope that you can hear me. If you can hear me, would one of you please unmute and tell me that, well, that's a good sign. Hey, awesome. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Those of you who are on Zoom, I would love it if you would type in the chat your name and where you're joining us from and what organization you're with, if you're here professionally, or just tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, cool.
And also just quickly, you're probably going to touch on this too, Eduardo, but if you have questions as we're going along, we're asking you to keep your mic muted until we get to the end where we can do some Q&A. But feel free to put your comments or questions in the chat. I will be watching that as we are going.
That's why we have Mindy here.
That's my whole purpose. I'm a techie, one of the techies. Okay. Woo! Thank you guys so much. And I'll turn it over to Eduardo to get us started.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eduardo Ortiz, and I work at the Institute for Disability Research Policy and Practice, IDRPP at Utah State University. And together with my colleagues, Mindy Docos and Holly Ennis, Poet, would like to welcome all of you to today's webinar organized by MULDINET. This project seeks better understanding of the challenges faced by people with disabilities, the intersectionality of disability and multiple social, economic, geographic, and cultural factors, among others, create complex contexts that need expanded conversations and learning opportunities such as this webinar event. As part of MULDINET efforts, we have developed other products. I invite you to look at the link placed on the chat. So, Mindy, please put the link.
Yep, okay.
Today's webinar is called Learn From Us, a Lived Experience panel on disability language. Will include discussions among members from the IDRPP newly formed Partners in Disability Research Advisory Board. This group provides feedback on research projects at the IDRPP, but we have asked them today to share their experience and suggestions for service providers who are seeking to better understand language surrounding people with disabilities. Our panel today will be facilitated by myself. Before starting the presentation, I would like to remind everybody of a few ground rules. First, please briefly introduce yourself, as Mindy said in the chat, with your name, location, organization, and role. Second, this webinar is a space for a constructive discussion, no debate or argument. Let's keep the conversation focused and avoid side discussions. 3, keep an open mind and be open to learning something new. 4, avoid making assumptions. 5, be respectful of others. Listening is as important as talking. 6, ask questions to gain understanding and clarity. A final reminder, this webinar is also recorded, so please keep your mic mute during the presentation. With that, we would like to give each of our panelists a chance to briefly introduce themselves before we start with the questions. Could you please take maybe 30 seconds or so to tell us about you and your lived and professional experience? Let's start with you, Tina.
Hello, my name is Tina Stewart. I work for the Utah Independent Living Center in the Tooele branch. And I also have a daughter who has a disability that is a young adult. It's where I get my expertise from. And my professional is working for Utah Independent Living Center.
Thank you.
My name's Kathy Self. I'm the program director for Utah Independent Living Center. I have a daughter who's 32, who has autism. I have a son who passed away in 2020, who had multiple disabilities. And that's it.
My name is Kelly Hess. I work at the Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice here at Utah State University. I am a person with a disability. I've experienced disability my whole life. but I also have worked in the community of disability for almost all of my professional life.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Anderson. I am 20 years old. I also have been living with a disability my entire life, and I am trying to become more like open to helping people understand more things about disabilities. So I think this panel will be great.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Natalie Green. I had an utero stroke before I was born that led me to have a IDD, epilepsy, and cerebral palsy, and a IDD that led me to be involved in Special Olympics, and I currently am involved in doing things in the disability community, and I'm also now a paraprofessional at my own middle school.
Thank you, Natalie.
And my name is Greg Green, and I happen to be Natalie's dad. My role most of my life has actually been as a caregiver. My mother was diagnosed with severe multiple sclerosis, and I had an older sister who had schizophrenia when I was young. And when my own family started, Natalie was born with CP, and I have a son who also has schizophrenia. And I also have been diagnosed with an adult onset epilepsy. So I've kind of, turned the table and, become somebody on the somebody who has a disability in addition to being a caregiver. So I think I represent both roles. We believe very strongly in advocacy at the house. I think that that's one of the things that we sought to represent when we joined the panel. So we're glad to be here.
Yes,
Thank you, Greg, and thank you each and all of you being part of this panel. Before jumping in, who are professionals for these conversations? For this panel, our use of the word professionals is quite broad. It can include anyone who works with or for people with disabilities in a professional sense. Some examples include healthcare providers, direct service providers, service coordinators, mental health care providers, emergency service personnel, educators, and researchers, among others. So let's start with the first question. What do you wish professionals understood about disability that is not reflected in common language today? Anybody can take the lead.
So I think I was going to kick this one off, and I will say that there's probably a lot to start talking about. We've talked about the maybe two things to begin with. Escaping old terms of use. In particular, I think it's resonating with a lot of us these days that the idea that language, especially over time, changes. And it's important to recognize that culturally, we are beginning to recognize disability for what it is, and old terms don't fit any longer. The other part of it, I think, is that advances in science and the terms that go with those advances are making it easier for us to be able to talk about things. So knowing that culturally, using person-first language is really, I think, more respectful these days. And in particular, when we are talking as a professional, and I've noticed this as a caregiver in particular, but if there are three people in a room and there is a patient who has a disability and the doctor is talking to the caregiver and not to the patient, that can be really frustrating because the identity of the person needs to be recognized first and always. And I don't care what the disability is, but this idea about inclusive first person connection is just really critical. And I think that's probably one of the first things that I want to talk about is when we talk about language, it's using first person language, but it's also recognizing the person in the room and speaking directly to us as a person with the disability versus somebody else who's in the room as a caregiver or assistant. Who else?
As I think about this, I think that we kind of underestimate the impact that language around disability has. I think that it's easy to kind of follow old patterns of language and not realize why that can be harmful, and to take the time to learn about the language that is used today that empowers people more, I think is really, really important, especially for professionals that are usually in a position of power in relationship with those with disabilities. I think that to use empowering language really sets a tone for having a high expectation about the person with a disability. And as a person with a disability, I can feel that expectation or lack thereof when older language is being used. I immediately feel just that lack of belief in my abilities, and then that kind of puts me in a position where I feel like I need to prove to the professional who I am or what I'm capable of or what I can understand. And I don't think that that's a way we should continue anymore. I think it's time to really move forward using language that empowers people with disabilities.
I think also going off of what Kelly and Greg were saying, I think sometimes everyone estimates us as we cannot do certain things. Our caregivers think they have to speak for us. They have to do everything for us. And I think as a caregiver, that's great. You want to help us grow, but as adults in our 20s, 30s, whatever, we should be able to help make those decisions in some type of way without our parents jumping down our throats and being like, we're doing this. And I think even in a work environment, for me, it was like I had to prove myself every day that I could go do this and do this. And mentally, it takes a toll on you. You can't live in that mindset of I have to keep proving myself, because you're gonna mentally drain yourself. So I hope this and in future, yes, we can use the right language, but also if you have questions or think that you have to jump in, before jumping in, come up to us and ask us questions, get to know us, get to know the backstory before you think you have to drive the bus.
I'd love to make a couple comments about that. I actually made some notes because I was thinking about my daughter as she went through school and did very well and went on to receive her degree from the University of Utah. And when we would meet, or when she would meet with professionals, the other side of that, using words like courageous or brave, can be just as divisive as the
Yes.
negative. Why, as a person with a disability, she had unique talents and abilities that were her own. Why should people have used words that conveyed a sense that they were surprised that she was there? And I think you need to be careful of the other side of the language as well.
Can I add something else?
Absolutely.
I think also speaking about languages, I think, or like things that you say to us, why do we feel like we have to be praised every time we do
Yeah.
something? Why do we feel like we have to be not almost like pet, but why are we being a pet? Like all of us, maybe I'm wrong, but all of us are grown adults. I appreciate you validating, hey, you did this, but why are you treating it like we're a pet?
Joss, it's like a special form of put down to hear
Yes.
somebody say, you are so strong.
You
And
do
it's
this
like,
so
yeah,
well, or
yeah.
you're so brave. How do you do this all day? Like I get comments all the time of being like, how do you sit in a chair all day? How do you do this all day? And I'm like, because this is my life. Like this is just what I know. But then they're like, you're so brave. I wouldn't be able to do that. And I'm like, well, if you had to, you would. You do it for you do it for 20 years. You kind of get used to it. So that's one thing that irritates me. I love when people recognize that I do great or that we do great as people, but stop treating it like we're pets.
Thank you. Thank you first of all answering this question, and also thank you for sharing those examples, because sometimes if you don't illustrate with those examples, the explanation is generic, and that helps us also to understand in a better way in a specific case. I'm gonna keep encouraging you to illustrate with some examples along this conversation that we have.
Yes.
Anybody else would like to jump into this question? I can jump to the next one.
I think you're good.
Okay, let's go to the next one then. How important is it for professionals to ask about individual language preferences rather than assuming?
So for this one, it's really important to ask the individual their preferences. So for me as a para, being in special education, especially, some kids don't actually like being called like special ed, like in a classroom. We don't actually like being called special ed. But and especially being part of South and being part of Special Olympics, we have something called People's First Language, where we do like this is what we prefer to be called, and not what we should be called, like with like the labels and the disabilities. So this is like, and this is what that this is what like people should be calling like this person with this disability, or like this person. And that's what I learned. I think adding to that, we as people don't necessarily deserve those labels, right? We don't deserve those, hey, no, you lay it out on the table, that's fine. But I also feel like you sit down with us, you get to know us, and you'll be like, oh, they're much more than these labels. Yeah. Like, exactly. I think most people think we are so used to those labels, and we are, but in this day and age, this is why we're sitting here. We're trying to change it.
Yeah.
We're trying to give you open arms and ideas to like help make it better. But we know you do it out of love.
Yes.
You do it out of respect, but it drives us nuts. I don't know. I just think you almost get in that rut. You know what I mean? You almost get in the same patterns. Like I think for all of us, we all get in the same patterns, and that feels comfortable. That feels safe, right?
Yeah.
But even for this group, joining this group, was that new for us? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did we do what we were doing? No. So like we just have to like, I think, get out of our comfort zones. And I think sometimes that's terrifying for us. But we need to be better at telling people no.
Yeah.
Because no is
So-
a full answer.
Jess,
Yeah.
let me ask a kind of like a social etiquette
Yeah.
question, but do you think that it's okay to break the ice with humor, or is it better to be respectful when you're describing your disability? Like if you were to self-describe,
I think
how do you treat it to make other people feel more comfortable talking about it?
I tell people this all the time. I think I would much rather you come up to me and say it to my face than sit back and sit. Break the ice, make it awkward. I would much rather you do that than sit next to me and say nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely say nothing. You're not going to get the answer that you want. You're going to assume you know the answer, but you ask me, you're going to get a whole different answer. So I think I would much rather them come up to, like, for example, you come up to me, ask a question. You feel uncomfortable asking that question. I could care less. Break the ice, ask the question.
Yes.
And I think that would be the same for all of us.
Yes.
So I think that's a really great point, and I'm gonna look at the audience now.
Okay.
But there's a certain level of awkwardness that you have to be willing to experience in any conversation. So
Yes.
if you imagine yourself in a cocktail party and you're just kind of walking around introducing yourself,
Yes.
you know, there's an amount of uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
Because you're doing something new and you're putting yourself out there, and that's really what this is. And there is I think for having a disability, there's this cliff of, you know, the question,
We
right? Like,
climb the cliff every day.
yeah,
Yes.
and but getting beyond that point, I think, is so critical. And I love the fact that you said that you want them to ask the question.
Even if you
Yeah.
go on, because I have people come up to me and be like, I have a question, but I don't want it to come off like rude or disrespectful. And I'm like, if you ask it, I'm not gonna think it's disrespectful at all. Like I'm glad you're wanting to get the education from somebody than sitting back and being like, huh, and not saying anything. That to me is like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Oh,
When I first started my para job, and when I have like even like little kids or even like people come up to me, they ask me like, oh, what's wrong with your hand?
Exactly.
Like-
What's wrong with your leg?
Yeah,
Why can't you walk?
like-
Yeah.
like they ask me like these questions all the time. So I'm with you, Joss, and I tell them like my story, and I'm used to it, and I tell them like nothing's wrong with me. I'm me.
Yes.
I'm who I am. This is me,
Yes.
and it's okay. So it's okay to tell your story.
Yes.
It's okay to be who you are. It's just yeah. It's okay to be brave. It's okay to be you. Just it's okay to have those awkward times, but it's
You're gonna
okay.
get 'em.
Yeah, you're gonna get them, but it's okay. It's okay to be brave and strong, and
it's okay. And sometimes, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like even sometimes as people with disabilities, we have to break the ice for someone to come up to us and realize that it's okay to ask questions. Am I wrong?
Nope.
You are not wrong.
I think that like all of this conversation and thinking about why it's important for professionals to ask, I think all of this, it's kind of part of that shift of moving away from exclusion of people with disabilities into inclusion. So sometimes that means like we were saying, like being willing to ask questions and be uncomfortable, but that's so much better than ignoring, turning away.
Your head and saying nothing.
Yeah, and saying nothing, but rather like choosing to engage and to ask questions and to get to know. And that all of those efforts really help all of us as a society move away from exclusion to inclusion.
I think
Spread the word inclusion, guys.
I think a lot of us, we have our own voices, whether it be our own voices, using an iPad, typing it out, voice to text, an ACC device, or anything. I feel like you should come up to us and be like, do you want to do this? Would you like to go to the movie? Would you like to join the book club? Would you like to go to dinner? And as people with disabilities, we can answer for ourselves if we want to or not. Don't take the picture of the disability and be like, the answer is no. Because you don't know unless you ask.
Yeah.
That's how I live.
Don't write a story in your head without getting to know the person.
Do not write the story in your head without getting to know us. I tell my family all the time, we'll be at the grocery store. I'm like, they'll be doing something or they'll say something. And I'm like, do not judge the book by its cover until you walk up to them. And I will say, 20 years later, I have made my family more aware of different things, different sounds, what they can mean. Not saying they come from me, but being in a household with someone with a disability, that makes your whole family aware. Even if you don't see them, that makes your whole family aware. That makes your co-workers aware. That makes your friends aware of things, even when you're not with them.
You are going to say something.
I was gonna shift the question just a little bit, but I am curious. And so in a professional setting, imagine you're working with a person in a medical setting and they may not have a good, like a long history with you, but have you ever had to or felt that you've adjusted the dialogue with the medical professional?
Like for them?
Well, you're kind of learning their language, or they're learning how much you know about what you have.
Yes.
And they're also kind of like setting some expectation of themselves about how to talk to you about things when they don't really know you yet. And they're trying to assess whether to talk to you in very simple language or if they're going to talk to you in more
like medical terms.
Yeah, right. Like how familiar are you with your diagnosis and current research, or the terms that might be used medically to describe the conditions that you have and the treatments that you're going through. Like, are they going to talk to you more like a peer or a patient? And have you ever had that kind of like, we're going to adjust this conversation up a little bit now because I don't think that you're talking to me the way that I want you to talk to me right now.
Yes. Okay. So I think for a professional doctor, office experience.
Yeah.
I think our people decide to settle way too quick without getting to know. They think, oh, this is how it needs to be, and that's how they're going to do it. So sometimes I might pause, think about it. How long have we been doing this? Break it down. And if they talk about it in a way that doesn't make sense, then I'm like, okay, then break it down this way.
Yeah.
Break it down in steps so that I understand. But I think they settle way too fast before they even know. They think they know, but then they do it this way, and I'm like, so what was your thought process with that one? Like I've gotten really good at not staying quiet and not biting my tongue, and maybe that's a bad thing sometimes. But I think I've gotten so good at being like, stop treating me like I am 5 years old. I am 20 years old, almost about to be 21. If I need you to break it down, I'm gonna say, okay, break it down this way. What are you trying to tell me? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me follow up about those points, because I think those are very important. So you are saying that in many ways there are assumptions that need to be,
Adjusted?
clarified, because the assumptions are never good.
Correct.
But also there are assumptions in both sides.
Yes.
So, and this is the question, based on how they approach to you
Mm-hmm.
or how they ask the question, do you have also assumptions about the
Then-
other side?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think all of us do. I think we all think, I think for us, our assumptions are when they do it that way, why? We almost judge the book by its cover, right? Because it makes us seem unheard, it makes us seem unseen, it makes us feel like we didn't get anywhere. So yes, I think it goes both sides. But how do we break that?
So,
Establishing context,
Yes.
knowing history, understanding the patient's need is really critical. And I think a lot of times you're in a 20-minute window and it is an interview
Yes.
to get to a result that is often not what you desired.
And
And that is part of the problem.
And I think in that sense, you got the 25 minutes, right? You got the 20-minute window.
Yeah.
That is when your person that you are talking to immediately, for example, Kelly's my parent. They're gonna jump to Kelly and be like, da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm sitting right here. Like,
Yeah.
why don't you ask me? Why are you asking my parent
Yeah.
these questions?
Yeah.
So do you think that it is as important when you say ask the question, not only from the one side to the other, but also from the other side to ask the question?
Ask the
Yes.
question. It ain't gonna
Both
hurt
sides.
us.
Yes.
It ain't. Are we going to question you for a second? Absolutely. But that is what we're here for. Ask questions. Make it, maybe before you say it out loud, maybe I'm wrong. Before you say it out loud, think about it in your head and see how it sounds before you blurt it out. If it sounds mean or rude, maybe reward it where it doesn't sound like that.
And we were worried that we are going to have a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's keep going to the next question, because we have a lot to talk today. How should professionals handle mistakes if they use language that is not respectful?
Can I start this?
Of course.
I think for this, I feel like you need to own up to it. Break it down. Be like, okay, what did I do wrong? How did Where did I go wrong? How did I go wrong? How can I fix it? Explain your mistake to the person that you did it to. Tell us how you feel like you messed up, what you did, and we can either disagree with you, agree with you, or tell you how to fix it.
Yeah.
Communication is so big. Communication is going to be your friend in all these situations. So I think coming up to us and being like, okay, I noticed I did this, and this. Okay, we'll lay it down, we'll figure it out, we'll put the puzzle together. We'll either disagree with you, agree with you, or we'll be like, okay, you did this wrong and this is what you need to do next time, and we'll help you fix your mistakes. But we don't know how to help you unless you communicate with us.
We can even give you the resources on how they can
Yeah, too.
so you can learn how to
Do better next time.
yep and to also learn how you can do better, but also learn our language.
Mhm. And I think for a lot of us that have been doing it for 20 something years, 23, 25 years at this point, we have all those resources that we can pull for, that we can pull for you because we've had to use them.
And we can like teach you, and we can, if you want us to teach you, we can give you like the resources.
I agree. So that's what I feel, but I could be wrong. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Kelly, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think that I don't want professionals or anyone to feel like they have to be perfect all the time in the language they use.
Yes.
Because I, like, I'm a person with a disability, I'm also a professional that
With
works
a
in the disability community, but I still, and even with me making a very like conscientious effort, I'm still not perfect all of the time. It's a continual work in progress. And I think that effort is key to always wanting to be learning and practicing a better way to speak within the context of disability in the most empowering way. And so people shouldn't be scared that they're gonna necessarily say the wrong thing. There are going to be times when the wrong thing is said,
Yeah.
but you
It's
know,
not gonna hurt us.
it's not the end of the world. The idea is just always try to be improving and doing better and learning more and asking questions from those that have disability, the experience with disability, and ask, what is a better way? What is a better way to talk about disability or to describe disability? And I think a lot of times, you know, we kind of fixate on disability, especially within the professional world. But is disability always needed to describe a person? No, it's not. I'm Kelly.
I
have-
know,
I have a disability, but there's a lot more about me. So, I mean, my friends don't say, you know, Kelly who uses a wheelchair. I'm just Kelly. So even within that professional capacity and role, is it necessary that we describe or talk about or mention disability? Do we need to use those labels and diagnoses in every time that we're talking about a person? Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's really not.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, especially because sometimes the interaction with the professionals can be very complex from different systems. You know, the medical system, the educational system, the government systems, and maybe they have different approach in the interaction that they have. So that level of flexibility, but also the level of what you say, empowering, I think it is important from any of the systems that they are interacting with.
Yes, I agree with Kelly. I think we don't want to be known as the person with the disability. We don't want you to use that label, and that's fine if you do. We get it. Sometimes you make mistakes. We get it. We won't hold it against you,
but we're gonna give you things to help you next time to make better decisions for it.
Everyone's level can be different too. If I use a euphemism that is pretty standard, and I don't want to use any, but you may be very offended by it, where the person on the other side of me might not even blink over it. If I've made a mistake, I want you to correct me. And I don't want to let my embarrassment or my fear of saying the wrong thing stop me from interacting with people with disabilities. And I want to compare it to kind of a simple thing. If I offered you a treat and you didn't like it, would I try and talk you into liking it? No, I would respect you and your opinion, and I would move on. But I still want to include you. So next time, maybe I offer you a different treat. Maybe I even ask you what treat you would like to have, so that everyone feels included. And we are going to make mistakes as professionals. If I'm writing an application or I'm doing something generally, I try to always use person first language. But if I have someone in front of me, I hope I'm asking them, how do you want to be addressed? And I agree. What's your name? You know,
What's
it's
your name?
always the best way to go. If I'm working with 50 students or 30 students, I hope I know everyone and I'm addressing them by their name.
Let's move to the next question. Why does understanding the historical or cultural significance of outdated, disrespectful language about disabilities matter?
Okay, so we all know that there are certain words that historically have been used to describe in medical or legal settings. And we know that over time they've morphed into insults to be used to insult someone. And we know not to use them because they're slurs. They're used to demean people. So, but it's a lot broader than just the 3 or 4 words that we know not to use. Using words like he's an emotional cripple, or lame, or dumb, or stupid, can be just as demeaning. And again, it's that level. As professionals, we're never going to be perfect, but we need to write those words out of our vocabulary to the best extent that we can. I know we're making mistakes, right? Because what the words we use create social attitudes. And if we normalize them, then they're used, and they're used in a way that makes it harder for everyone to see people with disabilities to be equal in housing, to be equal in employment, in medical care. So we have to understand the historical use of that language, and to try and not unintentionally use them. So it's hard. It can be hard. Sorry. I want to just, the history of people with disabilities is rich and hard. People worked really hard to get to the point where we are, where my daughter could go to school and my son could have, a wonderful life and be home with me. So it's important that whenever possible, we use person first language try to get away from slurs or words that are pretty common in our language. And instead of saying that's stupid, let's try and explain why I disagree with that. Well, I'm going to tell you my feelings about this without using a slur. Or maybe it's going to take me 10 minutes longer, but it's 10 minutes well spent.
I think, I think, like you were saying, we get used to the culture of it, but even for the people with disabilities, we have to be comfortable. We have to eventually be comfortable with our disability and be like, this is our life. This is our normal. This is how we are. Let's not say it's a bad thing. Am I going to have rough days where I break down in tears and I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to live this anymore. I want this to be over. Absolutely, because it happens more than not. But then I remember that it happens for a reason. It is what it is. We cannot control what happened to us because we don't understand. It just did. It just happens. Life is life. This is what we live. But I think for us, even with people with disabilities, we have to be comfortable in our own bodies before we can help somebody else.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, language is dynamic. It's an evolving process, and even words that we are using now, probably in the future, might change as well.
I was gonna say we probably won't use it.
Yes, that's right. But the point that you are making, I think, is very important. It is educational too. We need to learn from, what's happening, but we also need to will to learn.
Yes.
And that is a process. This is an example that we are willing to learn. We are willing to listen.
As long as you tell us that you're willing to learn and willing to listen, we will give you all the resources in the world. But if you try to fight us on it, we're not going to want to help you.
And in that case, what we are building now is trust.
Yes.
Because if we trust each other, then we are going to will to learn, we are going to listen, and we are going to interact, and we are going to ask the question in both ways.
Exactly.
Well, let's move to the next question. How does respectful language affect your willingness to engage or trust a professional?
I think that for me, when respectful language is used, it does help me have more confidence and trust in whatever service that professional is providing for me. It feels like there's space for me and my disability, and I can share the information that I need to about my disability, if that is a need or if that is relevant. But when there's the absence of respectful language, then I feel like I don't want to open up. I don't want to share. I want to keep myself as small and contained as possible, because I can feel that there is risk when there's not trust and understanding. And I don't want to be in a position where I am at risk, and when I have to be vulnerable. I think having a disability, there's so much of life that is forced vulnerability, right? And so when you're in a setting where language is not respectful, then I subconsciously avoid more.
I don't want to speak to you. Yeah.
More vulnerability, because I just want to close up and take care of myself and not engage with the person. And that's like the power of language, right? Like, it seems like, what's the big deal? But it is a big deal because, like it's been mentioned before, that language can set attitudes and expectations, tones and trust. And when it's not in a good place and that, but language is not empowering, then it changes the whole situation and the whole dynamic between a person with a disability and a person without a disability.
I think also for this one, if we can't trust you, we're not gonna have the right mental space to continue to have a relationship with you because you're not giving us, what is the word I'm looking for? You're not giving us the
Respect.
You're not giving us the respect. You're not giving us the time of day to be like, oh, you're a person. Okay. You're not giving us the chance to be like, okay, yes, you're a person. You deserve this. So it's a mental challenge. It honestly is. And if you do it in a respectful way, then we're gonna wanna, like Kelly said, open up to you, give you the information to help you, to be vulnerable, to show those emotions, to cry in front of you, to not be in this box. But if you're not willing to like show us the respect, we are going, like you said, hide in a box. We're not gonna want to say anything. We're not gonna want to have you help us because you're not going to respect us and our boundaries and our mental capacity in any way or shape or form.
I wrote one little thing and it's just the professional needs to start with common courtesy, engage in active listening and listen more than they talk.
Yes. Yeah, if they don't give me like if they don't get to know me and my disabilities and where I come from with, and like with my epilepsy, my CP, and where, and like knowing like what I have, and they don't give me the time of day and where I am and am coming from. I won't, if I, what's the word? Like I won't trust them. Like I don't trust. Like I'm not gonna fight you. I don't think that they will take care of me and they won't get what I'm going through. They won't be your support system. Yeah.
We're looking for a new doctor.
Yeah, like, and I'm experiencing that now, especially. Now, just from this year, especially. So I'm going through that right now. So I thought I had that before with my doctors, but it looks like I'm. And I think that is, in that sense, that is when the like caregiver or person can jump in, because that is a fight we can't fight by ourselves. Yeah, so it's like, can I really trust that you're taking care of my needs? Yeah, so it's like I'm in this battle right now. Right now. So it's like, am I getting really the needs of my epilepsy, my CP, my now PTSD? So like I need all this right now. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Natalie. Something that I haven't heard in this conversation related with language, that it would focus just on verbal interactions, but sometimes language is more than that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything that we are saying during that interaction also can be given by a non-verbal approach.
Cue. Yeah.
That's non-verbal is also impacted by it, right?
Yes, absolutely. There are times that we're going to use nonverbal cues. We're going to use different things. But if we can use our language and try to also use nonverbal cues, we're going to.
Okay, we are getting to the end. The time is flying.
Yeah.
So we get to the last question. How do you prefer professional refer to disability in general? Person first, identity first, or something else?
So I personally prefer person first. But professionally in the classrooms, I can kind of see the history changing in that there are some specific disabilities that prefer identity first. And I believe part of that is their confidence in their disability level and how confident they are. I see students that are very confident with their disability, are okay with that. And then I have some students that say, I don't have a disability. I don't know why you're even in here in my classroom. So I think those who prefer to go identity first, that it's important to ask those people what they prefer, that they may not prefer person first.
Yeah.
That is a change in history that I am seeing it within the school system. Another thought, kind of along these lines, is that one of my friends once said that they have been deaf their whole life. They have been working around the hearing and learning how to understand them, so that we don't need to be afraid, because they've already figured it out how to understand those of us who are speaking, that we will mess up.
Any other comment?
Um,
Otherwise,
I was gonna say, I think for me, I kind of agree with her, but I think for me, I would say either person or identity first, because my personality and my identity is more important than my disability. I think, but again, in certain scenarios, maybe our person comes first. Maybe something else comes first. But I think for me, it's I'm more than a person with a disability. I want you to get to know me for my personality.
Can I offer an idea?
Yes.
The question is about professionals referring to disability in general, and I think the assumption that I'm making on this is that when we're talking to professionals that we're working with, that we want them to recognize us based on identity first. But there, in other circumstances, and I'm just going to use social media as an example. It might be that that is where identity comes as a first, because you are a disability advocate and you are going to promote that in your social media. But the relationship that you are promoting at the time that you engage with an audience, and it depends on what that audience is going to determine how you identify. And so professionally speaking, I think if I'm going into a therapist or if I'm going into my doctor, it's identity. Person first. But if it's a different context, I'm running for office, or I'm going to be on social media. I'm publishing a bio for a book.
Is identity.
Yeah, it's going to be different. So it just depends on
the situation.
where I put
myself
myself out, and
with my experience with Special Olympics, they always promote person's first language, and they always try to tell people that, like, this is a person's first language, and this is what you can do to if you need help, and identifying this, and it's always very helpful for those that don't know. But like my dad said, like y'all said, and
Yeah, I mean,
It's very different. It's like the identities are very different. So, but each of them are very helpful.
yeah,
At
I mean,
different
if it's like a police encounter, I think I'm gonna describe myself differently than if
I was
am-
gonna say, yeah, I feel like it depends on the scenario.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna depend on the scenario.
Because I feel like I've done it different ways 30 times today. I'm like, I've done it so many different times. You do it so many different times just
daily.
in one day or in one sitting.
Like
Yeah,
daily, monthly,
Yeah.
weekly.
But your blog is your blog bio is gonna be way different than, you know,
Anything.
your introduction to your new doctor.
I
You
agree.
know, but-
I 100% agree.
Yeah, but Tina, I really liked what you said, that people are becoming more confident and that they may go identity first because the idea about disability pride, I think, is actually really important, and I think that culturally that's a good shift that we're seeing in communities, that people are starting to kind of about face and say, this is part of who I am. Don't disrespect that.
Yeah.
Let this be who I am. Don't gloss it over.
Don't mask.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that I'm surrounded by angels and how strong it must be to, put my pants on.
Yes.
Just like everybody else.
Disability rights are human rights.
But in all seriousness, I mean, I think that's part of the thing, is that a lot of the words that we've heard today are trust and respect. It's conversation. It's taking time. It's asking questions. Those things matter. And I think that when we talk about like equality and inclusiveness, really what we're saying is,
Don't mask us.
but we'll take the time.
To get to know us.
Yeah, the humanity of a conversation matters.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, and that's what this is about. So
Wow.
Can I,
Just like that, 1 hour. Please go.
can I just add,
Yes.
I kind of jump into a different thing, but as a parent of a person with a disability who is nonverbal, nobody could ask him, do you want to be person first or identity first? It's really important that in all things that he needed to be respected. And, ask him first, and I would jump in if I had to, but he could hear and did have some ways of communicating non-verbally.
Yeah.
But the big thing is identifying with a caregiver more than the person with the disability. So I had people who I believe wanted to sympathize or empathize with me and would say incredibly negative things about him in front of him. And that's, I think, the worst thing you can do is, not respect, no matter what the disability of the person is.
Yeah.
They deserve to be honored and respected.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, don't disengage us in front of our caregivers or whoever we're with, because then it feels like a stab to them. And it's not saying that we can't back ourselves up, but like she said, she feels like she has to jump in, because why would you all of a sudden be like, your daughter can't do this in front of whoever they're with, in front of their caregiver, in front of their parent, because it does feel like a stab to them. My mom gets stabbed all the time when I'm with her, like, how dare you form her through this life? How dare you, like, keep her like this? And it's like, what do you expect this now 30-something-year-old lady that had a child at 19 years old to do. Like, she didn't know what she was getting herself into 21 years ago. So it's like, yes, you can make stabs at me all you want, but you're not going to do it in front of my parent.
Thank you. Uh, 1 hour plus, like that. I think we are getting to the end, but I would like to give you a chance if you have any final comment that you would like to share about what we have been talking and learning together.
I think a big one is just ask questions. Break that ice, like me and Greg said earlier. Break the ice, even if it's awkward. It will bring you flowers if you break the ice. But you have to be okay to be put in that awkward
Position.
Yes, awkward position, awkward stage, because it will bring you many different things. So I think asking questions, being uncomfortable, those are all normal things to feel, and it's okay to feel those things.
Just be brave and just go ahead and ask us, and it's okay. And just be there and become an advocate, and it will you'll go a long way.
Yes, we need more people to be more open to becoming advocates. There's not enough people to be our voices. Not saying just our caregivers or our parents, but even for the people that can't speak, they're going to need advocates. There's not enough there's not enough door buttons. We're gonna have to advocate for ourselves.
Be an advocate, be a volunteer. It will be a good thing in the long run.
You're not just helping yourself, but you're helping the people around you.
Yep. It's a good thing, guys.
I was just gonna say that I feel like so much good has been covered in this conversation. I think that language around disability it's more impactful than we may realize, and you don't have to be perfect at it. But I think committing to always making an effort to use the most empowering language possible is such a good step.
I agree.
Anybody else? Final words?
We have a couple just things from the chat, from our webinar. So one person had a question. I don't know if anybody will have specific responses for this, but I'll just put it out there. Katie, thanks for your question. She said, as a job coach, we go in with clients to job interviews. How would we introduce ourselves and why we are there using first language?
Okay, so you go to you're a job coach. I think you literally say, hey, I work for this clinic. We have a clinic up at Utah State. They say, hey, I work for this clinic. I'm a job coach. My name is da 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 da, and I am here to help them with this task and this task to make them successful in a job setting. You literally just lay it out on the table.
Yeah.
I've had to use job coaches billion of times. I still have a job coach at the age of 20.
Yeah.
You just lay it out.
Yeah.
Love that. Any other thoughts about that? I think that's great.
Well, I have 2 jobs, so I'm not only my parent job, I'm a barista, but I would say like, hello, my name is Natalie Green. I'm gonna use my barista job. I work for Lucky Ones Coffee. We are a non-profit. We have a location in the Park City Library, and we have another location at the Marmalade Library. We are a woman-owned company and a woman-owned and
This is turning it into an advertisement.
I know. That's the point of the job. And LGBTQ and we hire those with intellectual disabilities, blah blah blah. And so, yeah, that's how I will approach.
Just like put it out there,
Yeah.
who you are,
Yeah.
who you're representing, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I think also in a job interview, you could be like, hey, my name is so and so, and this is my job coach. And let the job coach take over from there. Let the job coach say what they think they need to say because they know why they're there.
Well, that, I think the question was from a job coach, just
Yeah.
like ideas on what would be appropriate, what would
Yeah.
not feel like weird to say.
I also feel like job coaches, we love you dearly. You need to be willing to trust your gut more than you do.
Got a couple down here, yeah.
Katie, I'd love that if you had that conversation before you walked into the interview. I've used scripting a lot so that we can practice what probably is going to happen in the interview. And it should be the person with the disability who defines, are you going to sit behind me, to the side of me? Am I introducing you? Are you introducing yourself? Because that is their interview, not the job coach's interview. So it should run exactly the way that they want it to go.
I agree with that.
And just adding on to that, I think it's important for the client or the person the job coach is with. They may not want to disclose their disability at that time. So I think that as job coaches, you need to be conscious of that as well.
Be our voices when we're too scared.
Whether they want to disclose that they have a disability.
That's so valid. So making sure you have that conversation beforehand, so you don't say something that they don't want to have said during the interview too. Yeah,
I agree.
That's so good. Thank you guys. Yeah. Okay, she just said, I agree with you. I always have the interviewer speak with the client and not me.
Oh, good.
So that's
That's a good way
that's
to do it too.
that's the only question that we got in the chat, but Tatiana also made a comment I think you guys would appreciate. She said, the panel talked about how using certain language can create a negative culture. I also like to think the more that people are vulnerable to ask questions, the more we'll make it normal and create an open and accepting culture where we aren't always scared to ask or look ignorant. If we
Exactly.
communicate our intentions, it's hard to go wrong, I would think.
Exactly.
Thank you, Tatiana.
Yes.
Thank you, Tatiana.
It's yeah, you said it. You've literally laid it out on the table.
Well, if anybody else on Zoom has questions, it could be specific, like Katie shared her question, or if you have like general discussion questions, we have just like a few last minutes. I will be watching, so otherwise.
Yes, I think we're getting to the end. I'm gonna be very respectful with your time. I really appreciate your time, your engagement, and your voices. That is so important in this educational process that we want to develop. So many take-home messages. Greg, you already mentioned most of the take-home messages that are important.
Can I ask something to the audience? Would you like to see us do this again about something else?
Yes.
Yes!
Tatiana, yes, yes.
You have
Oh, you
automatic
can see up there,
answers.
yes.
Okay,
Very
do
good.
another one.
Hey, can I add a follow-up question? If you are interested in something specific you would like to hear our panelists talk about,
Yeah, what would you want to hear?
please put that in the chat also. If you have
Yes.
ideas of topics,
Yes.
we would love to hear.
We would
your
love
ideas.
to do this again because then we all get to be in person again.
It's so fun to be in person.
Yes.
Sorry, everybody on Zoom. It's way more fun to be here.
Yeah.
So.
But
okay.
yes, if you want to see us do it again, what do you want it on?
Oh, Tatiana, great. Mental health,
Mental health.
accepting your disability, how culture connects with disability.
We're
Some
gonna need to
ideas.
write these down.
Those are
Love
Somebody.
that. I'm
Suggestions.
keeping
Yeah.
them. I'm keeping tabs on them.
So.
Yes, that's it.
I also want to say thank you to the people who join us via Zoom. I know that we are gonna put this webinar also in our webpage, so it's gonna be an opportunity to keep learning and teaching to everybody who's interested in this topic. And as part of those messages, I think those are very powerful. Ask questions, develop, be respectful, have this empowering interaction that I think is so important. Develop trust.
Yes.
Don't have assumptions.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna be part of an ongoing conversation that we want to develop from here. And trust is important for us. So thank you again. Have a wonderful afternoon. It's a wonderful panel, a privilege for me to be part of it.
Thank you so much for hosting us.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for your stay.